an unarmed man was subjected to a chokehold, and the result is he is no longer with us.
That, of course, Reverend Al Sharpton, one of many who are demanding justice following the death of 43-year-old Eric Garner. But what exactly is justice? Tonight, funeral services underway for married father of 6 who died Thursday following that altercation captured on camera with the police officers. Police say Garner allegedly selling loose cigarettes in Staten Island last week. It's a crime he's been accused of committing before. And how many times? Well, 31 arrests dating back to his teen years. However, many argue that rap sheet should have nothing to do with a recent altercation, which may have led to his death, and a death many people say has everything to do with the chokehold that was used by this officer, Daniel Pantaleo, who had faced 7 misconduct complaints during his 7 years on the force. You see it, and I'm sure you've all seen the clip there before. Okay, I got a lot of questions on this, so let's bring in our panel right now, and to help me out with this, some of our regulars here, including Jim Kasouras, criminal defense attorney in Manhattan, lecturing at New York Law School, visiting professor at the University of Birmingham, England, also former prosecutor in New York City. Doug Von Oist, founding partner of Carson Von Oist, focusing on corporate misconduct, selected by the Legal 500 as one of the most influential trial lawyers in the nation, also a former prosecutor in a major crimes unit. Mayo Bartlett, attorney and former chief of the bias crimes unit at the Westchester County DA's office as well, and very involved in civil rights cases, all of you. Okay, I start with you, and you have the perspective. When I say the names Baez and I say other cases like that that happened before, this isn't the first rodeo for New York. For this is the first time maybe we captured this on a phone camera, but you remember when there was a Wild West here, right? So talk us a little bit through then and now.
Well, I think that it's become more and more of a problem now, but what I will tell you that resonates in this case is that I remember years back when an officer used to come into the complaint room in the Bronx and with an arrest sheet for somebody he had known before. And that's what happened here. This is somebody that, you know, you have this relationship that starts on the street. They've arrested this gentleman before. They knew each other. The store owners
apparently were saying that sold cigarettes within the store. Hey, this guy's taking business out of our pockets. Do something about it. They keep coming back. And just so everyone gets context, we saw in the video, at least, he said, no more. I've had it.
That's
I didn't do it. It's cigarettes at the end of the day. Puts his arms up when we all see the video that came out of it.
So there was animus between them, and this is, you know, it just makes you wonder who we're giving badges and guns to. You know, you've got Chief Bratton saying now that he's going to retrain 35,000 people. To do what? To say what? Stop putting chokeholds on people who are unarmed and aren't provoking you and aren't aggressive. I mean, a man said, leave me alone, enough. You had all of those officers there. It is just, it keeps happening. It keeps happening, and it's got to stop. I mean, this is a procedure that was outlawed 20 years ago.
You know, Doug, I know you go back to your days in Major Crimes Unit, right? For me, we saw the cops, we heard some of the dialogue. I don't believe any of those officers that day set out to go kill somebody. And I don't believe when they had the conversation, and let's be clear, they asked Mr. Garner, we're going to bring you in. He refused to be cuffed, okay? Now, what happened after that, certainly I think everybody with the benefit of hindsight says, whoa, whoa, way too far. Why'd the guy jump on his back? I know he's 400 pounds, big guy here, and throw the chokehold. But what should the expectation of police be in these situations in real time, without the benefit of rewinding the tape in real time? How does the law work as it relates to a police officer rather than you throwing a chokehold on Mayo in broad daylight?
Well, I think the police, first off, you have to look at what they're investigating or what they're engaging with the person on the street for. I mean, if it's a proper inquiry and arrest, well, then there's an expectation that the person will comply, and if they don't comply, they take certain methods to make them comply. And that goes back to the chokehold, which has been deemed to be not a method they could use. I mean, you're looking at expectations on both sides, and that's why a video, and we were talking about it last week, becomes kind of really important in a situation like this. You know, there is a person that is in the right in a situation like this.
Now, Mayo, in terms of, we've spoken to the widow who said, you know, I don't think they should hold a badge anymore. We heard from people in the community tonight who said, no, I want to see a prosecution. First of all, does it matter the color of the skin of the officers if they're different than the person who was put in a chokehold from a bias standpoint? And secondly, what should the punishment be to fit? Nobody should die for selling loose cigarettes. So how does that work in terms of the race issue, and then secondly, the punishment issue?
Well, from the race issue, that does not determine whether an incident's a bias matter, because you can look and you can have people of the same ethnic background, but they are of different religions. You can have people who go to Rwanda and everyone's Rwandan, but you have a genocide going on. You can go to Ireland and you have a Catholic versus Protestant conflict. You have
so
to
is this an issue of race at all, what we saw, or no?
I don't think we have enough information to determine whether it is. What I can say is that if you were to remove it and have it in the Upper East Side and to have it be a white man who's 400 pounds and the same height as Mr. Garner, chances are that when he's on the ground and says he can't breathe, he's not going to get his face pressed further into the sidewalk, and he's going to get some assistance from the EMTs.
Fair enough. How about now, what, if anything, should these guys be charged with? Should it just they lose their badge? Should it just be that they made a terrible mistake? How does it move forward and explain the legal process to the audience?
You need to have a full investigation, first of all. It's premature to make any other statements other than that. I can see that when the gentleman's refusing to comply, I understand them going forward and taking steps to arrest him. Once he's in handcuffs, though, it's absolutely inexcusable to push his face further down into the sidewalk when he says he can't breathe. And the other thing is this, as big as he was, he never swung at any officers. He wasn't struggling with anybody. He was in a really basically defensive posture, stepping backward. He was a big guy. He could have been throwing people around. He didn't do that. But to go back to Jim's point, when you look at 35,000 police officers, you're talking about use of force continuum. Most, I don't want to say most, I don't want to generalize, but there are very many officers who do not know what that is. They don't understand that their mere presence alone is the beginning of that use of force continuum, because that may prevent you from ever needing to use force. But it goes up from there to verbal commands, to light hands application. You have slappers, you have billy clubs, you have pepper spray, you have tasers, some of which you use on people, some you don't. If you have a medical condition. I don't think that there's enough training with respect to the use of force continuum, and there has to be more, because officers can take your life.
And guys, I got to listen a minute real quickly, both of you. Do you think, from the video at least that we've seen here, that there's enough that there will be criminal proceedings out of this or not?
Again, I don't think that the video is enough. You do need a grand jury investigation. You certainly need to take some testimony from witnesses. That video is very damaging, in my view.
Do you agree?
I agree.
All right. When we come back here, we're going to get into an issue of privacy or lack thereof in the digital age. Two fascinating cases, and I want to get the table's perspective on this. We'll be right back.